You're listening to Guts and Grind with Siju and Sajin, making the real estate journey accessible to anyone.
Welcome back, guys. We are here and live in effect at the Guts and Grind podcast. I'm here with my co-host Sajin Abraham. I'm Siju Koshi. I'm glad you guys are tuned in. Saj, how are you doing, bud?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It's exciting, right? Y'all probably don't know this, but we've been working on season 3 for a long time. I've been kind of building out a studio in my own house, and so we're live here together with Siju right here and Sajin right here. Like, we're just here. It's exciting, and we just have a lot of shows lined up. For the show, I'm super excited. Life in general, just busy, man. Same old stuff. How about you? How's everything going?
Good, dude. I can't complain. You know, kids, it's summertime. It's, kind of mid of the year, but I know we're going to be rolling out a bunch of episodes, but really, we're totally excited about this season. I think, we've kind of shifted focus from conversating between the two of us to, got a slew of people that are experts in the real estate arena, and they bring a ton of different wealth of knowledge from different aspects of real estate. But it's really cool to just see the experiences. I think that's the biggest thing I take away from this season, and I know that people will benefit from it, right? Like, we can tell them our stories all day and every day, but when they hear a third party say their story, their successes, their failures, it just does a whole different thing. And it did that for me, so I know it'll definitely impact other people.
Sorry to interrupt you, man, but like, just to pick it back, like, I think there's value in us sharing our story. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, but there's also value in hearing other people's perspective. And it's just, I don't know, like, same thing as you. I feel like I speak on your behalf as well, but like, it was just good to hear why people thought the way they thought, why they're doing what they're doing, how they're looking at real estate, like things like that. Like, I know in the past, like before I got into real estate, that was one of the main drivers. I saw other people, some people that I could relate to doing the same stuff. And so sharing these stories, like breaking it out from just you and I sharing stories and hearing other people's stories is like a huge benefit. I feel like it's a massive benefit for people to hear that. And so if you have a story and you want to be on the podcast, you should reach out to us. We'd love to interview you. If you have a good story, man, even if you don't have a good story, even if you're just trying to get started and you want to learn, and it's always good to talk it through. So reach out to us if you're interested. But you have any highlights, Siju, about this upcoming season?
Man, without giving away too much, we touch on everything. We touch on mortgages, we touch on real estate agents, family life, balancing family with real estate. It's even just the small things of how people begin, right? I mean, we've had a guest that bought his first property on a credit card. It's crazy things and stories like that make it almost possible, right? Like, people that are out there sitting on the sidelines hoping they get into the real estate game, just as a future endeavor, they're maybe thinking, oh my God, we can't do it, right? I mean, there's so many creative ways to do real estate, and I think that's a key factor, just in my opinion. So
yeah, no, I totally agree. And like, none of these stories are supposed to make you feel like, oh, but they did it because blah, blah, blah. It's really like, you should look at it and be like, oh man, those people are able to do it. Maybe I'm able to as well. But you hinted at something, is like, should I dive into real estate? So right now we're filming this. It is summer of 2023. What is your feeling on real estate, Siju? Like, what's your thoughts on it? Is it a time to buy? Is it a time to sit and wait? Like, I have my own feelings about it, and I'll share it, but like, I just wanted to get your opinion on what's the state of real estate in Siju's mind.
In my mind, I don't have a crystal ball. In my mind, as it is today, interest rates are sitting about 6%, and people are saying, oh, the interest rates are too high, right? Yes, they are too high. The prices are a little bit higher. Right. The numbers probably won't look as positive when you kind of run them. They're not as profitable from an investment perspective, but I still think I'm still what they call in the stock market terms, right, bullish about it. Like, I am so still pro real estate, as in over the long term, right? So we're not talking about get in, buy a house, and sell it the next day. We're talking about, if you want to invest your money for the next decade or so, real estate, I think, is still the game, right? The one thing you got to think about when you look at real estate money, you have to kind of look at it from historical perspective too. Right. Like, when our parents got here, their interest rates were double digits. Yeah. We're talking mid 15%, 16% versus, like the sixes that we have now. It's still, hindsight is super low.
Right.
And in my head, if you still buy a piece of real estate and you want to refinance it later, if, say, for instance, the interest rates drop, you have that option. So
Yeah.
that's my thing. And I'm still looking for property. I still like, investing in it, parking my money. I think it's still a very good investment play. And the other piece of this also is inflation, right? Everybody hears the keyword inflation. I feel like that's the word of 2023, right? And it's true. And inflation it's a money killer. If you have it in your bank account, you have it sitting in savings. Not to say you shouldn't have a savings. You should have savings, but anything more than what you really need for savings, I think it should be put in an investment, some type of investment. So
Yeah, no, I totally agree with what you're saying. I did want to comment on the interest rates from when our parents were moving here and buying houses and things like that. So they did have crazy like credit card versions of interest rates, like it was 15%, something like that. It's like unbelievable interest rates, right? But they also had very affordable prices for houses.
Absolutely.
Like we're talking about $50,000 houses, $60,000 houses. So it was different, right? And also the down payment that was needed was significantly lower based off of their income, based off of how. So things are just crazy right now. And I'm not saying that to say don't invest, because you also noted like if you buy now, it's going to be worth something later. Like if you look at the long term, like 10 years from now, because that's never going to change, right? Like if you're looking at the long haul, the values are still going to go up. And so if you're viewing it like that, then it's still not a bad time. The best time to buy is still right now.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to get cheaper, right? And so if it's not going to get cheaper and you know that, and just like Siju said, like, I mean, he said it, he hit the nail on the head. You could buy it now and you could date your interest rate. And then when the interest rate drops, you refinance, you get a new one, right? You get a new interest rate. And then, so the trick, and this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to find really good deals that could, at the very least, break even, comfortably break even, right? That's talking about, CapEx, any kind of expenses that are associated to this property. And if it could break even, I'll be happy now, because I don't know how long this interest rate is going to be, right? Like, is it going to go up more? Is it going to drop down significantly? Is it going to drop down enough to be worth refinancing, right? And so like we have to give ourselves enough runway to be able to afford it, right? So I don't want to be in the hole in a property, but if I could float the note by, like it cancels itself out and it's like, it's a break even, I think that's okay right now, because in the future, it's going to get better. You can refinance out and then you'll be profitable and you'll still have the time under your belt of having that property, right?
Someone once mentioned this, they asked the question, oh, what's the best time to buy real estate?
Right.
The best time to buy real estate is today, right? It doesn't matter what situation it is. It's, it's going to go up and down. The market's going to go up and down. You're going to get, your wins and your losses, right?
Sure.
But overall, if you think about, if you're sitting on the sidelines, I highly recommend taking action, right? If you're financially set, you've planned everything properly, and you want your finances to grow, and you're looking for avenues for your money to take off. I'm still a big proponent of real estate. You don't have to park all your money into it, right? It's also about making sure you're smart and divesting it in different places, right? But yeah, people say, hey, what's the best time to invest in real estate? Today. Right?
Actually, the best time to invest in real estate was 10 years ago. But the second best is right now. You have to do it right now.
Yeah.
If you're going to do it, like if you're going to be in the game, you got to be in the game. You just get in it. And I'm not trying to say be foolish about it and just kind of buy whatever deal you find. Do your due diligence, find the right deals, make sure that you could afford it. Don't bite off more than you could chew. I mean, of course, right? What I'm also trying to do is leverage the fact that interest rates are high. Because when you negotiate with the seller, because they know it too, right?
Yeah.
They know that interest rates are high. They know that it's harder to afford these properties, right? And so you could use that to your advantage and say, hey, since interest rates are high, I know you're asking this much, but I need this much of a discount to actually make the numbers work. And so that might be in your favor, because when you couple a discounted price coupled with the eventual refinance of a lower rate, that's a win situation, right? That's a win-win. And so like you have to view it that way too. So I would, Siju and I both are very bullish about buying, but at the same time, you have to buy it right. Yeah. And, I think it's the safest thing to do in any market, right? In any market, you want to buy right. You don't want to just overpay for stuff. Not like the 2000s, 2001 craze when everyone was just buying everything. There was a reason for that too, right? Interest rates are so cheap, but then it's like when people complain about high prices, that's when interest rates are low.
Yeah.
And then they complain about high interest rates, but then prices are supposedly low, right? And so you have to pick one or the other. You can't have both, right? And I think we're in a position where we actually can have both, but it's just a span of time. Pick up the property at a discount, then get your better rate later.
Yeah. You hit it right on the nail. You have a lot more leverage on the principal of the house, right? You can negotiate that down, which is, again, what you want to marry. You want to date the rate, but marry the principal value of it, right? So the other thing is also there's, you know, the big word around the world is a shortage on housing, right? It's they're saying that if you even look out for anything that you want to buy, you're not really seeing anything.
Yeah.
And part of the reason to that, from some of the articles that I'm reading, is so many of the homeowners 2-3 years ago or the last 5 years have locked in such good interest rates that they don't want to let those go.
Yeah.
So they're debating whether to sell it or just hold it. And so you have that chunk of the market that's just not gonna sell because they have such an incredible interest rate.
Right.
So there's a lot of factors that play into the economy, but here's what I'd say: if you run your numbers, you run enough. It's also like muscle memory. Like Saj and I think on the back of my paper napkin, I can, if you give me a house price in an area, I can almost pretty closely run the numbers within, because I've run so many numbers. And I think that's the biggest part of it, as Saj kind of mentioned, is make sure you do your due diligence, right? And do the proper analysis of the property, make sure it's where you feel comfortable. And at the end of the day, if you keep looking and you insert yourself into the situation that you want to be in,
Right.
you'll be successful. I'm a big proponent of that. Like segueing into, hey, how do you kind of get there?
Yeah.
If you inundate yourself with what you want to do, you're going to be successful. If you're 100% focused on real estate, I think you'll find yourself successful, because you're going to surround yourself with the right people. You'll surround yourself with the right content. I'm not just, strolling through TikTok dances or whatever it is, but so I think, if you're truly passionate about it, it's something that, anybody can be successful in.
Totally. And I totally agree. And I also wanted to say, like, don't waste this opportunity. It might feel like doom and gloom, like, oh, inflation and interest rates are high and prices haven't dropped down because of the interest. Like, that's all true. It's all true, right? But it's also an opportunity to practice getting your analysis done, practice knowing what a good deal looks like, and also practice building community. Like what Sid was saying, like being around the right people that could encourage you and, oh, I didn't think about it this way. Let me go with this lender instead of that lender, or this type of loan instead of that loan, or this type of property. Like, oh, I should move into multifamily instead of single family. Like, you don't learn this stuff if you're just living in a bubble, like by yourself. You need to be around people. You need to be digesting the right information. You know what I mean? And so for me personally, I'm more of a get your hands in the dirt and then I figure it out. Right. And, like I was scared in the past where, oh, I don't know if I should buy this property or whatever. But now that I've done it, I just feel good about it. And the reason I did it was because I've done so much research behind it. Right. And so that's what we want to encourage you to do. But I do want to go back to season 3, because season 3 is a banger, man. It's really, really good.
It's going to be awesome.
We have some great guests and like we want more guests, right? But we have some really great guests that had a lot of good insight. And so we really want you to watch it. Please, you're watching this on Facebook or maybe YouTube or wherever you're watching this at. Please subscribe to the channel. And we're also on podcast platforms as well. So if you're like on Apple Podcasts or iHeartRadio or whatever you listen podcast to, we're on there. So search for us, Guts and Grind. You'll find us and just subscribe to it just so you don't miss an episode. And we also want feedback from you guys too. So if you could comment questions or whatever it is, like we would love to hear from you, because like I said before, we want community. We want to build up this community so we can learn from each other. Any other additional thoughts, did you?
Man, nothing much. I want to say that, I think it's an exciting time. There's always opportunity. Like it doesn't matter where the market's sitting. Home prices are incredibly high, right? I mean, there's opportunity everywhere, right? So it's just a matter of like diving in, getting your feet wet. If you're listening to this podcast, obviously you're interested in some realm of real estate, right? So as Saj said, subscribe. We're on the podcast platforms. You can throw this on in the car now,
Yeah, that's
I know that was one of the recommendations. A lot of people are like, I don't want to just have the YouTube running while I'm in the car. So it's a little bit more accessible. So throw it on while you're driving home to from your work, or if you're remote, then just run it on while you're on those Zoom calls on mute,
Exactly. Like, it's funny because like people made that comment, and so we adjusted, right? So we need to hear from you guys to know what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong. Also, like if you have topics that you're like, I'm interested in this, and y'all haven't talked about it yet, what are your thoughts on it? We definitely want to hear it. We want to let y'all know, and we could do the research on our end to figure out what we need to do to get that information out to you. So let us know your thoughts. Should we tease who we're... No. You know what? We probably shouldn't do that.
Shouldn't tease it. No.
Yeah.
You can't tease it. You have to tune in. If we give it all away, then it's over. But they're all about an hour or so, sub an hour actually.
Yeah,
but so we're totally stoked for the season. We have it a good lineup. Hoping to hear some good feedback. Hopefully you guys get something out of it. But outside of that, I think the market is what it is. I think everybody knows where everything is. I think, the other piece of real estate, we focus solely on the residential side.
Sure.
There's a whole other side called the commercial side. And one of our guests is kind of heavy focus on that.
Yep.
So again, we're bringing in short-term commercial, real estate, people from out of state that are real estate investors.
Yeah.
So there's so many avenues, right? And it doesn't matter what the economy's doing. There's opportunity for everybody. There's a little bit of the piece of the pie for everybody. And I think that's the beauty of this podcast. And I think Saj kind of alludes to it a lot. Like there's enough to share for everybody.
Yeah. No,
there's more than enough.
Yeah. No, and I think that's what this whole thing is about. We want to make sure that, and again, I feel like I say this a lot. We both say this a lot. We're not experts by any means, right? But we know a little bit and we want to share that. Like the previous generation kind of got wealthy quietly when, they had the reasons to do that. But we think it should be different, like there's enough to go around. Yeah. And so if we could just educate each other, learn from each other, I feel like there's opportunity for all of us to grow, and a rising tide raises all ships, right? So and that's what we want to do. We want to rise the tide so we could all grow together. Yeah, I think that's about it for this episode. So here's how it's going to go down. This is the first episode of season 3, right? And so this is the first episode of season 3. Every week, we're going to roll out a new episode with a new guest, and they're going to have a good insight. So we want to make sure that you catch all that. So again, make sure you subscribe. Be friends with us on Facebook. We want more friends. Please be a friend.
We do.
Yeah.
We're good people.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We're good people. So please. But yeah, so we're excited. We're really excited. And that's it. Siju, any final last words?
Nope. As you always say, subscribe. Give us a thumbs up, turn the bell, click the bell on so you get belled up, you want to get notified, So looking forward to seeing you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this season. Catch us on the next one. Peace.
Later.
Thanks for listening to Guts and Grind with Siju and Sajin. Be sure to tune in next time.